Jewish education has come a long way. What began as a familial project in which parents would educate their children changed once parents no longer possessed the requisite education and time to teach their own children. What emerged as the dominant form of Jewish education was known as the Cheder system and became the standard framework for Eastern European Jewry. The Cheder system was remarkably simple, as Professor Saul Stamper explains in his book, Families, Rabbis, and Education. From around 3 years old until 13, children studied in the home of the teacher. The teacher was paid directly from the parents. There were no grades, no degrees, no extracurricular activities, not even floor hockey. Only a minority of students continued their Jewish education in advanced study Beit Midrash programs. But for most, formal Jewish education ended at 13. In America in the early 20th century, the situation was very different. Most parents sent their kids to public school. A specifically Jewish education was relegated to either after-school hours in programs called Talmud Torahs or on Sundays in congregational or communal Sunday school programs, fondly known as Hebrew school. And of course, there were major gender disparities. One daughter recalled in her 1939 memoir, "My mother, in all the days of her long life, bitterly resented the meagerness of her youthful education. Many women were not even taught how to read or write Hebrew." Much of that began to change when Sarah Schneer began championing women's Jewish education in the 1920s. In many ways, her school movement, called Beis Yaakov, didn't just change women's Jewish education, but changed the very way we see Jewish education in general. The movement insisted that everyone needed a full and proper Jewish education in order to preserve their Jewish identity. In the 1940s, Torah U'Masorah was developed to encourage the establishment of Jewish day schools. Dr. Joseph Kamenetsky would travel from town to town to help organize and gather the resources necessary to ensure every single Jewish child would be afforded a Jewish education. This movement revolutionized what is meant to be a Jewish American. It placed the importance of receiving a proper Jewish education at the center of Jewish identity. As Rabbi Sachs movingly said, "Long ago the Jewish people came to the conclusion that to defend a country you need an army, but to defend a civilization you need schools." This grand ideal, however, has not come without significant challenges and questions. What is the goal of a Jewish education? Is it more about imparting a specific body of knowledge or forming and concretizing Jewish identity? Should Jewish education be geared for the elite or for the middle? How should the success of Jewish education be measured? And of course, perhaps the most oft-discussed question, how can we ensure that everyone can afford a Jewish education? When the Talmud explains the shift away from parents educating their children to local educators, the Talmud says that Yehoshua ben Gamla, the person who innovated this approach, will always be remembered because, if not for him, Torah would have been forgotten by the Jewish people. It's a powerful praise, but it also seems strange. Why would Torah have been forgotten had it not been for Yehoshua ben Gamla? Of course, children who didn't have parents capable of teaching them would not have received a proper education. But surely many children did have parents who could teach them. There is a beautiful idea from Rav Yaakov Weinberg, who said that preserving Torah only for some is not called preserving Torah. A system that only allows some to receive a proper Torah education is not a system that is really preserving Torah. The only way to preserve Torah is to ensure that every Jewish child has access to a Torah education. Which begs the question, how do we build the entryways that truly preserve Torah? A Torah accessible for all.